Hi everyone, Donny here again. Wednesday live on LinkedIn. 2:30 Swedish every Wednesday, a new interview with a cool startup, some cool technology, or just, well, cool people. Today I'm at the Swedish Film Institute, Filmhuset, on Gärdet in Stockholm, where we're going to visit the restaurant. And the reason for that is that they are actually one of the first places that adopted the Klimato climate labeling of their food and their menus. Klimato is a startup that labels food depending on, and you can see which of the food that you're buying is the most climate friendly. So we're going to meet Klimato in the restaurant and have lunch and see how this works in practice. So let's go inside, shall we? And we're live. My name is Donny. This is my Wednesday afternoon live broadcast on LinkedIn called the Innovation Fika. So you grab a coffee and a cinnamon bun and you grab your workmates or whatever. If you're at home, you sit down, you watch the 15-20 minute broadcast of something incredibly cool. Today I'm at the Swedish Film Institute together with two good friends of mine, Christoffer.
That's right.
And Henrik.
That's right.
From the startup Klimato.
Klimato.
And they do climate labeling of food. And we will very, very soon talk about what that means and what it actually does for us. But okay. We'll wait very, very soon. Let's do that right. No, actually, Christoffer.
Yeah.
What is climate labeling of food and how does it work?
So the food industry and the food we eat stands for 25% of the global emissions.
25%?
25%.
Okay.
Of all the emissions come from the food we eat.
Yep.
That's a lot. And Klimato's mission is to reduce this number. So we came up with a simple idea to help people, both people going to restaurants and the restaurants, to reduce the climate impact of the food they eat. By displaying the data and just help people to eat smarter by focusing on numbers.
And examples of that are these are actually the plates of today.
Yeah,
at
true.
the Filmhuset restaurant, which was your first client as well.
Yeah, it's true.
The first customer was Filmhuset on Gärdet in Stockholm, and these are actual plates of the day. So we have the Indian stew over here with 0.2. And we have the Thai salmon with 0.6. We have an Asian fish cake, 0.7. And then we have the steak, which is 4.5.
Yes.
So big difference between Indian stew and the beef over here.
It's a big difference.
And what makes the difference?
So you can see the number here,
yeah,
0.2, 0.7, and 4.5 is kilos of carbon.
Kilos of carbon emissions. Okay.
Yeah. And the big difference is that this very climate smart meal at only 0.2.
Yeah.
It's because it's from vegetables basically.
Okay. So
it's just bread and vegetables.
So the non-meat.
The non-meat
is better.
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
And then you can move up the scale a little bit.
Yeah.
Fish, still all right, around 0.6, 0.7 kilos of carbon emission per dish.
Yeah.
You have salmon and cod.
Yeah.
But the big difference, of course, is the meat.
Yeah.
So
how do you calculate these numbers? I mean, how do you get these? Well, I mean,
a great question. Yeah. So we work with research partners who developed and did research regarding LCA data.
Yeah.
Where they take one specific food ingredient.
Yeah.
And do something called a life cycle assessment on it.
Yeah.
And assess.
And that's every single ingredient.
Yes, for every single ingredient.
Yeah.
And they see how much, for example, a tomato emits during different stages in its life cycle.
Okay. And we're talking about life cycle of the camera moving. The camera's walking around over there.
Yeah.
When we're talking about a full life cycle of a vegetable, then you're talking about, I mean, is it everything from like when you plant a seed in the ground to when it actually is on my dish?
Yes.
When did you start working with this idea?
So I think the idea, maybe 3 years ago, we thought of the idea.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to eat more climate friendly for the planet.
Yeah.
But we didn't know how. And it's so much, you had to read about so much on the internet, find so many research papers, and just too hard to know. Basically, many people know that meat is pretty bad and green is pretty good.
Yeah.
But everything in between, chicken, fish, Spanish tomatoes, Swedish tomatoes, it's too much. So we just wanted to make it easier and as simple as possible to eat more climate friendly.
So is Spanish sort of worse than Swedish all the time? Do we know that? I mean, what have you, I mean, in the key learnings that you've had going through the process, have you sort of learned that, oh, it's like the obvious thing? Or have things come up during the process that was surprising to you, that you learned during the way?
I think we learn all the time.
Yeah.
Of course, we always see that meat has the biggest emissions.
Yeah.
And more veggies has less emissions.
Yeah.
That's easy. But then it's details, Spanish tomatoes and Swedish tomatoes. Swedish tomatoes is usually grown inside.
Yeah.
Spanish tomatoes, meanwhile, outside. So you don't need energy, for lamps and stuff.
Of course. And I know you had a story about blueberries that I thought was fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed that Swedish blueberries has quite a high climate impact.
Swedish blueberries had a climate, which is, one would think that would be the perfect thing.
Yeah. So we talked to the researchers, and they told us that particularly blueberries from Sweden, they are picked by Polish people that come with, they fly here, they rent a minivan, and they go around in a minivan from farms and pick the blueberries. And of course, you have to include CO2 emissions from driving a car.
Adding the harvesting and the distribution, everything adds up to the final, and this goes together in the calculation that you make.
Yeah.
And then you help the restaurants label their food.
Exactly. So it's for restaurants, so they can show their guests that we care about this problem. Yeah. We want to be part of the solution. And still we have the guests who now can not only look at the price, but also look at the carbon footprint.
Has this, has it shown any effect? Can the restaurant say, yes, we've managed to, because I know that this place, they order the food as well. From the most climate friendly down to the least climate friendly on the menu. But have they seen an actual change as well?
They have. So all the restaurants that we work with, they get reports every month regarding their sustainability performance. And actually all restaurants that are climate labeling the food right now are reducing their emissions.
They are.
I know Filmhuset here, they started at average 2.4 kilos per served meal. Now they're down to 1.1 or something like that. So almost...
Which is very hard to put in, 1.1.
Yeah, I'm talking in numbers.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to relate to, but how much have they lowered their climate impact? Sort of, can you say like
I think 1.0 kilograms of carbon emissions.
So last time I checked,
just like a year or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
The first year they worked with us, they decreased their impact by 30%.
30%.
First year.
30%.
Yeah.
That's a number that sounds really good. So I'll take that.
Yeah. Sorry for talking
30% lower climate impact. Yeah. Thanks to climate labeling of food. So that was, yes. But we have Henrik here as well. Another good friend of mine. Yeah. So Henrik, we actually met because you were running a startup at KTH Innovation, which was a completely different startup.
Completely different.
Yeah. And then, you actually had to travel all around the world to meet this guy. Not that you didn't travel around to meet that guy, but that's how did the two of you meet?
Well,
how did you meet Klimato?
I had to go to Shanghai, basically.
Okay.
In order to meet Klimato, because it was this entrepreneurial and innovation competition in Shanghai that I had the privilege to be able to go to.
Yeah.
That you set me up on.
With the other startup.
Exactly, with the other startup. And you said, here is this awesome opportunity that you just these awesome opportunities at KTH Innovation, especially if you know Donnie. And I went there. We did a bunch of networking activities, got to understand a bit of how the Chinese are doing in sort of the startup world. We got to pitch our idea, and then we connected there in Shanghai. And then when you came back, and I came back to Stockholm, we started hanging out more.
So it wasn't just a summer romance thing. It
was still a summer romance thing, but it turned into something beautiful.
Oh, wonderful! And it's a beautiful story since then. That's actually quite cool that you actually had to go. Both of you KTH Innovation, and you sort of met on the other side of the world. Which
Yeah.
is kind of a cool, fun story.
Not so climate smart though.
Not so climate smart.
Exactly.
We're trying to do something about it. So.
Exactly. We've just flown here and had a meeting. That's not the best. Okay. That was then, you know. As,
time change.
Different times. One more question that is regarding specifically regarding Klimato as a business case, because today I know that you've just signed your 100th restaurant.
Yeah.
100 restaurants,
100
not bad. That's a really good landmark. And of course, as with every startup, once you get there, it sounds so easy that they just did this labeling thing, and then they had 100 restaurants because they phoned somebody. But it hasn't been only easy, right?
It's been a long journey actually.
How do you get 100 restaurants?
I mean, at first we didn't know anything about the restaurant business, and it's a special business, I would say. You know, the chefs, they don't.
Being very moderate.
To put it in a nice way.
I looked
No
behind
chefs around.
They are actually, but you know, we had to, you know, to learn. We had to fight for it. Of course, we fought so hard. But then for every restaurant, you learn about their needs and learn how to, you know, how our product can be, you know, a solution for them.
Yeah.
And I think the next 100 restaurants will go way easier and way faster.
How many restaurants have you come to get 100 restaurants in as customers?
I don't know, probably 10 I don't know, 1,000 at least. No, 10,000 maybe.
Yeah. Well, and that's a lesson. We always have some kind of, you know, lesson to learn as well in all of these talks. And I'd say actually that was actually Christoffer there, but I'll put the Klimato website on there.
Yeah.
Very many startups, they feel that, you know, once the tech is done, it's finished.
Yeah.
But once the tech is done, that's when it starts.
Yeah.
And to get 100 restaurants, you've had to phone thousands and thousands of thousands. But in the end, you get there. And I think that, as you said, the next 100 and the next 100 after that will come much easier once that you start building your brand. So, I mean, with that, I mean, I also heard that you even have a hamburger chain as customers now.
Yeah. Check out and shout out to Bastard Burgers.
Bastard Burgers,
Yeah.
shout out to them.
Shout out.
And shout out to Filmhuset.
And of course, this was your first customer.
Yes.
I mean, this is the hardest one. The one that says, that sounds like a crazy idea, let's try it.
Yeah.
And was it that easy, or how did you get this first customer?
We went there to many meetings and we, you know, asked them, how much would you like to pay for this?
Yeah.
What's too hard? What's too much? What's too little? And we kind of got a figure that we started working on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I had lunch here as well. It was really good, by the way. Of course, I chose the top most climate smart meal, and I spoke to some of the staff here, and it seemed that, I mean, they've all bought into this. I mean, they have these signs and they show all the food, and they, as I said, they order the food out of, you know, climate smart.
Yeah,
and everything.
where we see, you know, where restaurants have a lot of impact is where the chefs and the staff really embrace the idea and use the tool to, you know, change stuff in the menu to make it more climate smart, and use our tool to calculate meals and, you know, change ingredients. For example, take away some meat and add some more beans or whatever. Yeah. And they make tremendous impact.
Of course, and then they can also not only sort of experiment with the flavors and that, but they can also they can experiment with how climate smart it
exactly
becomes.
and plan meals in, you know, beforehand.
Maybe we can ask Jonathan if he wants to say a few words about
it.
Yeah, sure. I can hang on to that if you want to go and say hi to. It'll be cool. But you work with schools as well.
Yes, we do. We work with the reason how we got into schools is because we have our biggest customer, which is Sodexo. Yeah. So with Sodexo, we've been able to grow into business canteens and canteens at schools. Yeah. And then from there on, we started working with private schools as well. And it's really.
But you think, can schools use this as like an educational tool as well?
Definitely. So they can understand the importance of this at an early age already.
Look at here, we have a chef.
Yeah.
We have a chef.
Hi.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Please, happy to have you on our live broadcast. We're talking about climate labeling of food, and of course, these guys think it's the best thing since, you know,
It's our thing.
Yeah, it's their baby. But I'd love to hear from you as well, how you both, what do you think of the idea as such, and how you use this in sort of a daily basis when it comes to food?
Well, I think from a climate perspective, I think it's probably fantastic. It's a really good thing, and it helps us to into better behavior.
Yeah.
So we can tell, since we started, maybe we push 1 or 2 out of 10 into choosing that's better for the environment.
Yeah.
It also helps people to sort of get to know how it works. You know, you give them more knowledge about certain types of foods that would have you know, a bad impact. So we educate.
And that was what we talked about in the schools as well. There's sort of educational value, and so we're all sort of learning what is better for the climate.
Yeah, I think so. So for us, it's a really good thing, and the app is really easy to use. It works well, and these guys are super friendly. They answer the phone whenever we call them, which is good.
Yeah. Have a really good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye for now. That was great. That was an unexpected visitor in our little live broadcast. That was Jonathan, the chef at the Filmhuset restaurant, that gave us a short comment. Could you hold on to the mic, please? There, we seem to have. Anyway, that was most of what I wanted to get into today's show. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Christoffer and Henrik. Is there anything else How many are you now in Klimato, by the way?
We are 10 people.
10 people.
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke to you like 2 weeks ago, and you were like 9 then.
Yeah, we're
expanding.
We're expanding. We got 1 more Norwegian in.
Okay, next week will be 11. That's cool. 10 people.
Yeah.
That's growth, getting from startup to scale up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, indeed.
It's an interesting process.
So, everybody out there, climate friends, pick a restaurant that has climate labeling of food. There are more and more of them now. Is there anywhere I can see which restaurants have this? Do you have any kind of
Holy Greens now in Stockholm?
Holy Greens?
Hawaii Poke is about
in Stockholm as well.
yeah.
Anybody in the world that wants to bring this to your city, get in touch with Klimato.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. If you tell your favorite restaurants to contact us.
Yeah.
And because everybody should have this.
I mean, and especially if everybody can sort of work with the same system, then we get, even though there are many different systems out there, which is good as well, then we can also, understand the same things together. But with that, I will say thank you to Christoffer. I will say thank you to Henrik.
And thank you, Donnie.
And thank you to
putting us
Connée.
together.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you to Filmhuset for having us here again and again and again. This was all for this Wednesday Innovation Fika live broadcast LinkedIn. I will see you next week. And for now, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.